This is the pond project. Hopefully you've been waiting for it. Guys, this is the heart, which is the Japanese maple tree, and the pond powered by OASE. But before I tell you everything about it, check it out yourself. So guys, what looks so amazing on camera right now was actually quite a lot of work. And to tell you the story, I have to start 1 year ago. So 1 year ago, this terrace looks completely different. What you have here is, I don't know, we call it Lorbeer in German language. So all was covered with this Lorbeer plant. And I got a little bit fed up. I wanted to spice up things, and yeah, I removed some of them and I started building up the hills. So what you see here right now is the finished hill, but what is underneath is like a lot of rocks, because the entire surface was covered with a lot of this basalt rocks that I hold here in my hands. Like everything was covered surrounding this Lorbeer plant. And what I did, I put all the rocks in these corners. So starting with this one, and then there's another one on the other side, to then secure these piles of rocks, and then to be able to build up these slopes, I picked up a lot of these basalt rocks, the huge ones. Fun fact, they're the same one I have in my 120 centimeter Iwagumi. I've been many times to the landscape supply shop. I picked probably hundreds of kilograms of these rocks, and what I did, I created like an outline for this slope. Later on, more rocks went behind it, and this way I built the first slope. So I cleaned the entire place here. I think there was like a blanket underneath to prevent plants growing. So I removed that one as well. So we made one slope over here, and by building the slope, I also built a little bit like a barrier, like a wall with the big rocks in the front. And this is something I learned from the Floresta Submersos project. We had big slopes on the sides as well, and they were securing the soil behind it. So I made it the same way. Big rocks in the front, then it fell down to be able to fill the pocket with plant soil. One slope over here, and if we move here, there is another slope over here, and a third one in the rear corner. Having had these slopes, I had to then build up height. So first, all the little rocks were collected and put behind that. Next step, I had to dig out the pond because I needed soil, and I knew because the pond over there is like 200 liters, so I would have at least 200 liters of soil. So that's what I did next. I digged out the pond, and to know for sure that the plastic shape, because it's like a plastic mold, I put it inside for measurement purpose, so it just temporarily went inside. And then I distributed the soil that I digged out from here on the hills, and then I needed soil to fill up. You can see that once I removed the small rocks, there was like a step down. And I consulted landscape gardeners to tell me how much soil I will need to fill up everything to the height of this metal ledge. Because my initial idea, or the vision, was to create like a green lawn with plants that is literally touching to that metal ledge. And they told me you are going to need approximately something like 1.5 or 2 cubic meters of soil, which is equivalent of 1,500 to 2,000 liters of soil, which is ridiculous. And I had no idea how to get this much soil here to distribute it nicely, because this is an urban area. I cannot just have a huge pile of soil and transport it everywhere. So what I did, I picked up 60-liter bags, and I picked up several of them, and I distributed all the soil by hand. So I filled up the earth to the height of this metal ledge. I also filled up the soil on the slopes. So once I had the soil in place, what do you do next? Well, you plant it, right? So I got all the plants, I went shopping, I went to the local garden center, and I went crazy, guys. I've been shopping literally until the basket was full and I couldn't carry any more plants. I brought them back, and let me tell you, I went there back a couple more times. So the way I envisioned the planting was to have this kind of large Lorbeer plant here and there, mainly in the foreground. And we have this tiny carpeting plant here that is filling in slowly. This is planted everywhere around. And on the hills, I wanted to create the illusion of a bigger landscape. For that, I purchased juniper, very compact growing, bonsai style juniper. Also dwarf style maple trees in all kind of variations. We have a big red one over here. We have a green orange type. I think it's not orange juice like the Rotala species, but it's something with orange over there. A plain green one over there. And you can see actually a bamboo here in front. So why I did this, you see this bamboo wall in the background, and I had a lot of concrete on the sides, and I wanted to frame it with something green, as if you're looking from a forest to this panorama picture. So I planted some big bamboo on purpose in the foreground. If we move further to the pond area, like I said, that red maple tree has been here before. It was a lot bigger. I had to cut it back. I wired it in a bonsai style, and I created this layer specifically. I trimmed back the top. I keep the bottom part untrimmed, so the branches can become a little bit thicker. So by far, no means no bonsai expert here, but try my best in learning as I go. We have some flowers here in the background, flowering beautifully. And if we keep moving forward, there is the middle and the rear hills. So we have more different types of maple trees. Here is another red maple tree. And on this rear hill, we have here a little dwarf pine tree. I don't know the name. I'm sorry, guys, but I think it's a dwarf something pine tree. There is more plants that are going to turn reddish and orangish in fall. This is a little ginkgo tree. This one is gonna be really yellow, distinct yellow golden color in fall, super beautiful. And it's kind of finalized by another bamboo in this corner. So these plants went in first, and some of the ground covering plants. And the reason I haven't finished the pond first, I've been actually waiting for the heart of every pond, and this is the filter. And here comes the sponsor of this video, which is OASE. So thank you, OASE, for sponsoring this project. We have the OASE Biopress filter hidden well behind this rock structure. There is a pump submerged, which is pumping the water out into the Biopress filter. It goes through the filtration. It is UV sterilized to just kill off, all microbes and algae spores to keep the water crystal clear. And then it's returned back through this waterfall feature, which creates this beautiful background noise. I'm just loving sitting here on the terrace and hearing this sounds of water. I kind of secured the pond with more soil around it, so this middle section remained undone until the very end. So what has happened once the filter was in place, also it's hidden behind the plants, hidden behind the rocks, and it's like 80% underground. The in and outlets are just above the ground. Of course, the whole thing needed power. To make the test, I used the plug which just went straight into the wall behind the camera. But to make it look seamlessly, luckily, I have had two cables on the outside with electricity that I can control from the inside. One of them I'm gonna use for some lighting, and the other one is for the filter. So I have a switch inside, I can switch off the filter if required. And to hide it, I used a little box which I sealed from the inside with black silicone, and I wired everything, and actually this box sits here. So it's underneath the earth. And once I have the lamps or lights for outdoor illumination, so the project is not 100% done. Something like this is, how to say, always evolving and developing. You are changing out stuff. I mean, it's plants like with every aquarium. So I will have to dig it out and attach the wires here. And the final step was basically to plant around the pond, which I did with this nice bushy plant here, which has a beautifully variegated leaves. Absolutely love them. And yeah, the pond itself. In the middle, there is a basket with pond lilies. It's a dwarf species, just a regular pond nymphea. And this is the dwarf variety of it. We have a red one, we have a white one, and we have a rosé one, if I'm not wrong. They're all sitting in one basket with a good Tropica salt to provide them some good nutrients. I've been told by Adri Baumann, big shout out to Adri if you're watching this. He assisted me in picking the filter, also some of the plant choice, and to go for actually aquarium soil, not using pond soil, which is somehow a lot more better, gives you more results, less trouble. So we have the basket filled in with soil. Other than that, the plastic shape is bare bottom. It makes maintenance super easy. I might sprinkle some gravels on the bottom for the aesthetics. I don't have it in yet. And on the outside, there is a planting ring. This is the final part to be done. And I partially planted already some plants around here. We see this little grass. I don't know what it is. It looks like mini version of bamboo growing in here. It's going to spread in the foreground, keeping the view clean on the pond. This plant over here, I don't know the name either. It was sitting in a pot actually inside this ring before I added the soil. And you see those runners. So one of the runners came out of pot, rooted here, started growing here. So when I removed the pot, I had to cut the runner and now it's growing here by himself. And to complete this outer ring, I have a box of plants here that I might use in the next days. You know, guys, I'm super busy. Time is always limited, but the project is almost completed. And the final step to complete the project would be adding fish. And this is where you come in, guys. And yeah, looking forward to your votes and comments in the section below. Let me know which fish you would put inside. I have two favorites myself. One would be the rainbow shiner. Another would be some super cool Japanese medaka fish. The pond is going to be heated permanently, like during the winter time. So right now it's not needed. In winter, I can heat it, so the fish will stay here all year long and it doesn't get too cold, so we don't have to take this into consideration. Looking forward for your suggestions. I hope you enjoyed the little review. If you did so, show me with a thumbs up and I'm gonna see you in the follow-up video.